Our products are organically sourced natural healthy foods from Nigeria, West Africa, sourced directly from the small local farmers. At Naturalike, we believe what you put in your body and on your body can dramatically impact your health and well-being. Boost your energy levels and satisfy your cravings with a healthy dose of natural sweetness from our products. We're excited to help lead African foods and products into the global health and wellness markets. Follow us on Instagram at Naturalike, on Facebook at Naturalike LLC, and YouTube at Naturalike TV. These organically sourced foods are available at our Amazon store, amazon.com/Naturalike. Email us at naturalikeproducts@gmail.com.
Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Do me a favor. Please hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I will greatly appreciate it. Let's get some more people into the chat room. I hope all of you had a great Juneteenth. You know, for those who got the day off, you know, hopefully you enjoyed your day, because I know everybody didn't get the day off. So if you got the day off, congratulations on getting the day off. Give me 1 second. Yeah, because I know some of you guys didn't get the day off. But if you got the day off, congratulations to you. I'm glad that you got your day off and you got to be free. You got to be free on Juneteenth. Hit that like button again. Please hit the like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I will greatly appreciate it. Before we get started, have a couple of announcements. Announcement number one: Nigeria. Come and join us in Nigeria for the Oshun Festival, August 4th through the 13th. Again, come and join us in Nigeria for the Oshun Festival, August 4th through the 13th. I'm not from Oakland, but I'm close. I'm from a city that's close to Oakland, only about an hour and a half with no traffic. It's called Sacramento, which is the capital of California. Again, I'm from Sacramento, California, which is the capital. So respect Sacramento, because, you know, a lot of people don't respect it because, you know, for some odd reason, people think LA is the capital. You know, people think LA is the capital. They hate on Sacramento. But I'm from Sacktown, always putting your Mac hand down. That's where I'm from. And no, we're not the Bay. Okay, we're not the Bay, but we're close to the Bay. We're about an hour and a half. It's like Sacramento culture is a mixture of Bay and LA culture all in one. It's like Bay and LA culture all in one. So we got the Bay Area slang and the LA gangs in Sacramento. We got the Bay Area slang and the LA gangs in Sacramento. If you don't know about the Bay Area, like Bloods and Crips aren't in the Bay Area. Again, Bloods and Crips aren't in the Bay Area. But we got the Bay Area slang and the LA gangs all in one. A big hodgepodge. So come and join us in Nigeria for the Oshun Festival. Again, come and join us in Nigeria for the Oshun Festival, August 4th through the 13th. See, here we go. I knew a hater. I knew a hater had to come into the chat. I knew a hater had to show himself in the chat. You from Atlanta now, fam? They don't claim you over there in Sacktown. Listen, I still get respect in Sacktown. But I will say this: when I went to the University of Georgia, and when I was like a junior or senior, when I was running track, the equipment manager, he would always tell me, he'll say, "You a Georgia boy now." Again, the equipment manager, when I was running track for the University of Georgia, he would always tell me, "You a Georgia boy now." And in fact, somebody the other day told me I'm a Georgia boy now. I've been in Georgia now. I've been in Georgia. I've spent the majority of my adult life in Georgia. 2000, left Cali to go to the University of Georgia. Stayed in Georgia from 2000 to 2008. 2008 to 2014, I moved back to Cali, moved to LA. In 2014, I came back to Atlanta, and I've been here since. Yeah, I've been in Georgia now the majority of my adult life. But what's interesting about Georgia, what's interesting about Atlanta, really Atlanta, the Atlanta today is not like the Atlanta when I first moved here in 2000. It's not the same, but that's a whole nother topic. I don't want to, we're getting a little bit off topic. Yes, I can get you visa on arrival in Nigeria. I can get you visa on arrival in Nigeria. Now, the Nigerian visa process is a little cumbersome, a little inconvenient. So the normal route is you have to go to one of the OIS offices, which are in LA, Houston, Atlanta, DC, or New York. You have to physically go. So you can't just mail in your passport like with Ghana or some other countries. You have to physically go to the office, the OIS office. If you can't do that, then I usually get my people who can't make that, don't. And then once you go, you have to leave your passport. And it takes about 10 to 14 business days for them to return your passport. If you can't do that, then there's visa on arrival, which I can arrange. So yeah. But the best bet is to go to the OIS office, because once you get your Nigerian visa, it's good for 5 years with multiple entry. Visa on arrival is only good for a one-time entry. So yeah. And with the visa on arrival, you have to get a approval letter first before even. It isn't like visa on arrival with Tanzania or I'm trying to think of some other countries. Other countries visa on arrival. Tanzania or Benin Republic or Gambia or Togo. Like with the visa on arrival with Nigeria, you have to get an approval letter first. So it's not as straightforward, but yeah. So Oshun Festival, August 4th through the 13th, August 4th through the 13th. We are rolling to the Oshun Festival. If you'd like to join us, please visit donfo.africa. Again, if you'd like to join us, please visit donfo.africa. We will love to have you. And then we're going to Benin for the Voodoo Festival, and that's January 3rd through the 12th. That's January 3rd through the 12th. We're going to Benin Republic for the Voodoo Festival. So we'll love to have you. So today's topic, I don't understand why. Okay, and I was having this conversation on my Facebook page. Marxism, communism has been a complete failure. No matter how you feel about capitalism, no matter how you feel about, the children of the Congo and the child labor and, that the coltan and the resources in the Congo, how they're being exploited just to make our cell phones and our computers. Communism and Marxism ain't the answer. It's been an absolute failure out the gate, period. You can benefit from capitalism. You can benefit from, see, you got to look at capitalism like Islam. All right. You got radical Islam. The Allah Akbar, and they blow you up. Allah Akbar, they got a bomb strapped to their chest. Then you got the cool Muslims who are Sufis. So don't allow the extreme end of Islam to define or represent all of Islam. That's capitalism. Don't allow the extreme end of capitalism. Because I know anti-capitalists, they like to point to slavery in the Congo. That's their top two talking points right now. Slavery in the Congo. But there are a lot of people who have benefited from capitalism way more than Marxism and communism and socialism. I'm for capital. So number one, I'm for capitalism with socialist safety nets. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, AJ. It's like you got extreme Islam, Allah Akbar, and they, blow stuff up. And then you got Sufi Islam. Instead of blindly adopting ideologies, Africans should start creating their own their own realities. Marxism, capitalism are not indigenous to Africa. Let's have that conversation. See, I would say there's always been the free market has always existed. Again, free market has always existed, even in Africa before the European came. Again, free market has always existed. Period. I think what we're seeing right now, and see, is capitalism the problem, or is human greed and violence the problem? Because you've had slavery in Marxist communist societies. You had whole famines. Millions of people are dying in those societies. So are people the problem, or are the ideologies the problem? I think it's the people. But Marxism, I think people are greedy in all segments of society. I think people are greedy in all segments of society. If you ask me. But it's just Marxism and capitalism, they just have not performed at all. And some people will blame assassinations as the reason why. Well, the Marxist capitalists, they're always under attack, but everybody's under attack. It's just about who can defend themselves and who can't. At that point, they make it seem as if people who don't practice Marxism and capitalism are exempt from attack, which is not true. It's just who has the most resources to defend their ideology. And then another thing we got to point out is what I call sellout culture. Now, the capitalist, you have sellouts in all segments of society, but when it comes to the Marxist communists, and especially when you talk about assassinations, we're dealing with Black folks. It seems as if our people are so quick to sell out, and that's why we're always at the pulling the trigger. Look at Thomas Sankara, look at Patrice Lumumba, you look at Fred Hampton. There's always someone that looks like us who pulls the trigger. So sellout culture is the issue as well. But when it's all said and done, Marxism and communism, socialism have just all of it's been a failure. Hi from vacation to Miami. You need to come to vacation with us in Nigeria in August. Mystic Don. You need to come on vacation with us in Nigeria. Mystic Don, go to Down for Africa. Come with us. The European Americans and Europeans in general do not practice free market economies. You might be right. But Marxism and communism, ain't nothing happened. I mean, listen, you might be right. Like, listen, when you criticize capitalism, like, you have a point. But Marxism, communism has been an absolute failure. China, here we go. China is a communist country when it comes to politics. When it comes to business, it's capitalism. Same thing with Russia. The only true, I would say, Marxist communist country out there right now is a country like North Korea. And ain't none of y'all trying to go to North Korea or duplicate what North Korea does. That country, top to bottom, unapologetically is a communist country. If you ask me. Guys, I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. If you want to call in. You are more than welcome to click on the link. Love to hear your feedback. Again, love to hear your feedback. You are more than welcome to call in. Cuba as well. I listen, I know our Fidel Castro and Che Guevara from Cuba, but what's Cuba? Oh, okay. You mean as far as communism top to bottom? Cuba. But not as extreme as North Korea. North Korea is extreme. But Cuba is there as well. I still need to visit Cuba. All right, guys, links in the chat room. If you want to call in, click on the link. If you want to call in, click on the link. And don't forget, we have the Oshun Festival coming up as well. Send the link. Here we go. Go ahead, Skylar.
Hey, Don, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, yeah. Well, first off, with comment, I think people need to understand that people are people more than an ideology. So when it comes to ideology, it's more like the people fail than the ideology fail. Pretty much. You understand what I mean?
Right.
Yes, I don't really put too much stock in these ideas because, like you said, like China, again, they're communists, but they're more successful than the communists in America, like BLM. And
see, like I said, China is communist as far as politics, but when it comes to business, they're capitalists.
I understand. Yeah, exactly. Like they do better. They perform better. Like, right. You can just put that to, like, again, they identify as communists. And that's really, at the end of the day, like Xi Jinping is a better leader than Patrice Cullors. You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's where you're done. Like we say ideology, like individuals matter more than ideology. Always, no matter what we're talking about, capitalism, communism, Marxism, socialism. At the end of the day, is the individual performing or not? That's all really matters. Like all this other stuff about like means of production, means of production. That's all like theory. It only matters of what you're doing in reality. Mm-hmm. And in reality, like Xi Jinping has run the country, a successful country. Patrice Cullors is nowhere to be found. Essentially, he took the money and ran.
And listen, and listen, pulled a capitalist move, took the money, bought real estate, declared bankruptcy. You can do that in capitalism all day.
Yeah, exactly. Like Xi Jinping's in China. He's in China right now with his people. Patrice Cullors is in a white neighborhood. So that's what I mean. Like that's all that matters at the end of the day. Like it doesn't matter like which ideas, it matter like who the people are doing. And I think the problem with this, like you said, like the Pan Africanists adopted Marxism was because like the Cold War, like
Uh-huh.
like it was a Soviet Union versus America, and a lot of like Malcolm X and Kwame Nkrumah just adopted Marxism because like the Soviet Union was Marxist, and it was giving them money to fight back against America. But the Cold War is over. That's been gone. So it's kind of antiquated. Like these ideas are like antiquated. They're old. They're kind of irrelevant. So like when people talk about Marxism and communism, these are like irrelevant ideas pretty much. It's in the past. And I don't think people like moved forward with their thinking pretty much.
No, I agree, especially with the Cold War is over part. You made a great point. Like these movements, these countries like Russia who were supporting, these Black Power movements, the communists, they're now capitalist countries.
Yeah, exactly. They moved on. They progressed. But with Black people, they're still stagnant. They still stuck on their stuff pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, links in the chat room. Link is in the chat room if you want to call in. If you want to call in, please click on the link. If you want to call in, please click on the link, and you're more than welcome to call in. And I also have one of our sponsors. He's going to be calling in here shortly. In fact, let me send him the link. My Yoruba teacher. So if you guys are interested in hold on, let me get this link. So if you guys are interested in learning Yoruba, please reach out. So I'm gonna bring him on here shortly. Let me get the link so I can send it to him. Scott, anything else you want to add?
That's about it.
But you've made a great point. Russia
Yeah.
has moved on from full out. They've moved on from communism, but a lot of these Black groups, they're still not even
Yeah, they're
just
stuck in
they're still stuck in it.
and they're stuck in the past because like these people like Malcolm X, Kwame, in the past they were Marxists, but those people like they didn't live on. They were assassinated. Like they weren't allowed to like politically mature. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
They were like assassinated, so they're still stuck in that thinking. They never were allowed to progress, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you made a great point. That's an excellent point, actually.
Yeah.
All right, guys, in the chat room, if you want to call in, if you disagree, you're more than welcome to call in.
But even like countries like in Botswana, in South Africa, like the Southern Africa, like South Africa, like a lot of those groups are communists, like the ANC and Mozambique and Zimbabwe. They're like Marxists. You know what I mean? And the only country in Southern Africa is like Botswana. They're not Marxist. Like Ian Kama, I think the guy who founded Kama, the guy name's Kama, but he wasn't a Marxist. He was not a communist or anything like that. And now the country is better than all South Africa, pretty much, than Namibia, Mozambique, South Africa. Like Botswana is doing better than all those other countries because Mozambique, South Africa, they're like ruled by Marxists.
Mm-hmm.
And you have like the terrorists in Mozambique. You got South Africa, like they're like it's getting so bad over there. Like they want the white people to rule the country now, pretty much. You saw the elections, right? In South Africa, like
I saw that.
Yeah, it's getting so bad. Like they're looting the country. Like the buildings are dilapidating. The infrastructure is crumbling. Like in Johannesburg, there's a like massive opening in the roads. Like the roads like breaking apart. So like because they all believe in socialism, they all believe in communism and all that stuff, and they expect the government to like fix everything. But like I said, it's about the individuals. Like the ANC just sucks. Like they all suck pretty much. And like Jacob Zuma sucks. Julius Malema sucks. Like they're all like Marxists. And at the end of the day, like they're just gonna loot the country and then let the infrastructure go away, pretty much.
Lee Clinton, go ahead.
Hey, peace and blessing, everyone. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. I just want to be real quick. First of all, just want to correct something. Malcolm X wasn't a Marxist. You go through his speeches. After he left the NOI, he started his own thing. He was never a Marxist, so that's not true. A lot of these people, they get Marxism from university. And it's my theory that they teach, this is just my overall theory, putting on my tinfoil hat, that they teach this on purpose because they full well know that it's a dead end theory, it's a dead end ideology. They have lost. When Karl Marx came up with his ideas, he made it at a time where he was living in Europe. It was like some FUBU, like for them, by them, for them at that specific time. So it not only did it fail, but it's also dated as far as his ideas. You have many economists that came out after his life and debunked his theories. But it's my speculation that a lot of these people get their ideas, they get Marxism. Marxism is pushed through university, right? So they're not going to push certain things through university. They're not going to push like black sovereignty or independence through American university. But they know that Marxism and socialism are dead ideas, and we could see this through the examples of the world, like you just said. We know China is not a fully Marxist, communist, socialist country at all. The things that they're doing in the world are very much capitalistic. Same thing with Russia. Some of the moves that they're making on the global stage, right? So that's the thing about Marxism. Also, real quick, I'd like to add, a lot of these people studying Marxism, they don't know that Karl Marx was a racist. I put a book in the chat. Karl Marx had private correspondence with his benefactor, Engels, and these two would talk about black people. They would call them the N-word. Karl Marx was Ashkenazi by ethnicity, and he didn't like other Jews. He was a self-loathing Jew himself. He did everything to appease or to side with Anglo-Saxons. He was a I don't want to say student, but he was fond of Hegel. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, Hegel. And Hegel made a statement.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yes, Karl Marx revered that man. Hegel said that Africa contributed nothing to history. So with Karl Marx private correspondence to Engels, he said that he's made statements that would be considered very racist today. So I don't understand all these Marxists, these socialists. They do all this studying in university, but they never come across these correspondence where it shows that this man was a racist. It showed that he was for slavery in America. When he made up his ideas, he wasn't thinking about black people. Now, there was a man that lived during the time of Karl Marx. His name was a black man. His name was Martin Delany. If you look at Martin Delany's time span and you look at Karl Marx's time span, their lifespan parallel each other. But for some reason, you have these black Marxists that want to follow Karl Marx, but they don't want to follow brothers like Martin Delany. They don't want to follow.
What was Martin Delany's ideology? As far as I know, he was a
Martin Delany. Yeah, he was a Pan-African. He was an Africanist, and overall, you could say he promoted black sovereignty. I would say overall, I would say a Pan-Africanist. But he was for the black agenda in any way that you could think of. A lot of people take issue with him because he at one point he was trying to start a Back to Africa movement, and I think he had stopped that to join the Union Army. So people take issue with that. I believe that he had his reasons for doing that, but even though he joined the Union Army, he never stopped being an Africanist. So the reason why I bring up Martin Delany is because, again, his life paralleled Karl Marx, but these black Marxists love, especially when they're engaging in debating or talking, they love bringing up his name, the means of production, these keywords that they always say. But they don't bring up someone like Martin Delany, who, like Karl Marx, was an educated man, who, like Karl Marx, wrote books, but he had the black agenda even in the 1800s. Karl Marx did not. He was anti-black. So this also leads me to my point, and then I'll land the plane, that as African people, we need to have our own ideas, because I'm of the belief that there is no power in taking on the ideas of others. The power is in creating your own. Now, as far as like capitalism, for me, yes, the slavery thing does leave a bad taste in my mouth. But pause as far as like capitalism.
Yeah,
Also,
Paul, super Paul, super Paul.
yeah, I said it. And also, if you bring up today, right? Just the things that overall, when you have corporations who engage in hardcore capitalism, it can hurt, right? So my thing is, when you said free market always exists, my thing is, as Africans, we can engage in business, in commerce, right? And we can create something that is like capitalism, looks like capitalism, but it's not capitalism because it comes from us. So that's my only thing.
Okay. Ola Dao.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, so this is my Yoruba teacher, and I wanted to bring him on for a couple minutes to introduce himself and share with everyone what he does, and to you guys go learn some Yoruba. Go ahead, Ola Dao.
Okay. Thanks so much. Good evening, everyone. Like Irali said,
Well,
my name is.
Cabo.
Okay. Ekurole o. It should be Role now in the US. So
Yeah,
Ekurole Gugule o.
it's it's night. It's night over here. It's definitely evening over here.
Okay. So Ekurole Gugule o.
Corolla.
So I'm so happy to be here this evening. My name is Ola Dao, and I am a Yoruba language teacher. I'm, I live in Nigeria, and I'm based here in Nigeria, or your state, the city of Ibadan precisely. So um, I've been teaching Yoruba language for over 10 years now, and I'm here tonight to let us know the importance of learning the Yoruba language. But like we all know that Yoruba language is becoming more popular than ever before, and we are beginning to have more people speaking the language or desiring to speak the language. Actually, we have over 60 million people across the globe now that speak Yoruba language. And the truth is, the numbers are fast growing. We have Yoruba language speaker, of course, dominantly in Nigeria, western part of
Hello?
Nigeria.
Give us one
Okay.
second, California nationalist. Give us a second. Go ahead, Ola
Oh,
Dao.
Okay. So I'm talking about the number of people that now speak the Yoruba language, and I said we have over 60 million people that speak Yoruba language globally, and the number is fast growing. Um, Predominantly native speakers in Western Nigeria. When I mean Western part of Nigeria, I mean about 6 states in Nigeria, from Lagos all the way to Ondo State. And we also have people that speak Yoruba language across the West Africa, like Togo, Benin Republic, and of course, the diaspora community also is also expanding in countries like Brazil, Cuba, and also the United States. So, why should we learn the Yoruba language? Why should anybody wants to speak the Yoruba language? Number one is for cultural enrichment. So, if you are able to learn Yoruba language and speak Yoruba language, it opens you up to understand the richness of the cultural heritage in Africa. Of course, we know that Nigeria is the biggest country in Africa, and Yoruba people uh, plays a major role in the Nigerian population. So, if you are able to understand and speak Yoruba language, it open you up to understand the richness of the African cultural heritage. Then another reason is for those in academics, scholars, students that want to do research work about African history, African cultures, and African stories. You can't do that without learning and understand the Yoruba language. Then another reason why I believe we should all desire to speak and learn the Yoruba language is to improve our communication in a globalized world. Since, like I said earlier on, that the numbers of Yoruba speakers are increasing, and you find Nigerians, there is statistics that says one out of every four black is a Nigerian. So you find Nigerians all over the world, and I can assure you, larger percentage of Nigerians you find around the world will be Yoruba speakers. So if you are able to understand the language, you can open up yourself more to uh, global, global, globalized world and global communication. And also another reason why we should learn Yoruba language is that it strengthens our diaspora connection. We have people all over the world that believe that Africa, especially Nigeria, is their ancestral home. And recently, we've seen a lot of people coming back to Nigeria doing their genetic testing and saying, "Oh, I'm 60% Yoruba." Um, I think one of the recent events to that was the visit of Prince Harry and his wife to Nigeria recently, and the wife claiming that she's 40% Yoruba. So we see a lot of people all over the world now coming back to Africa, and most of them claiming that they are Nigerian by ancestral and they are trying to connect back to their African home, their African descent. And Yoruba language is playing a major role in this. So, where do I come in? I'm a Yoruba teacher, and I help people to connect back to their ancestral root, especially those that claim uh, to be of Yoruba origin. I run a language school called Language Africa. We are Our social links on Instagram, Facebook, and I can drop my link if anyone needs it, so we can connect and start learning the language better. It's a we run a very flexible class. It's a remote class. You can learn from anywhere you are in the world. You can choose your time of lesson. You can choose your days of lesson, and it's very flexible and it's extremely very affordable. So I want to encourage all of us here on this platform to start learning Yoruba language. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ola Dao. Let me put the link in the chat room and to your Instagram page. And guys, please follow, like, and make sure if you're interested in learning Yoruba. Let me put it right here in the chat. Come and learn. So links in the chat. You can click on the link, and I'll put the link right here as well. So Oladayo, Eshel.
Thanks so much. Let me quickly say one more thing before I go. Our classes are for both children and adults. So no matter the category you fall into, your children can learn, you can also learn as well.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Go see Wahala.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Until next time.
Yeah. Hodabo.
Hodabo. All right, California Nationalists, go ahead.
Yes, the subject tonight is about Africans following Marxism. Hello?
Yeah, Pan-Africans adopting Marxism and communism, yes.
Yes, well, that's crazy if they adopting the Europeans. That check this out. I'm gonna make it real quick because it's a dude. He got a Facebook, YouTube, and he on TikTok. It's called Black Americans Against Socialism. It's also one on a group on Facebook called Black Americans Against Communism. We do not need to follow socialism, communism, or Marxism. It ain't got nothing to do with us. It's a black dude. He got on YouTube. He's on TikTok. He really exposes socialism and communism for the wicked system that it is. If you look at North Korea, those socialist evil countries like that, That ain't no place you want to live. There ain't nowhere you want to be. So now the Pan-Africans don't need to adopt it. Black people in the United States don't need to adopt it. The ones in Europe don't need to adopt it. That ain't for us. It's just an evil system.
Hey, Dinas, you know Alinko Dangote, right?
Of course.
Yeah, you're Nigerian. So like he just opened up his own oil refinery. Didn't like the Nigerian government try to do that? They had to open up their oil refinery and it didn't work.
Of course.
Yeah, that's my point exactly. Like we need more Alinko Dangote. Like these governments are failing pretty much. Like just because you're put in government doesn't mean you know how to run a business or build a business. You know what I mean?
Hold on,
I think people,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, like I don't think people understand that. Just because you put someone in government doesn't mean that person know how to run and operate a business. Like Alinko Dangote know how to open a business and bring industrialization to Africa. I mean, he's not part of the government, but we need more of that instead of voting people in government who don't believe in that like enterprise, pretty much.
Yeah. So guys, this is from hold on one second. This is from Black Americans Against Socialism. I just want to listen to this video real quick. Again, guys, go subscribe to Black Americans Against Socialism. But let's listen to this video real quick.
How's everybody doing? Like and subscribe to Black Americans Against Socialism on Facebook and YouTube.com. Here's a book, Economics by Thomas D. Lorenzo. And you can get this book at the Los Angeles Public Library in downtown Los Angeles. I'm not a big fan of this author, but he has some good ideas, but I'm not a fan of this guy, but he has some good ideas. And I come to realize after reading books like this, but not just him though, a lot of other people, capitalism and the free market is going to liberate Black people. Capitalism and the free market is going to liberate Black people. Free market capitalism is going to liberate Black people. Free market capitalism is going to liberate Black people. That's what I came to realize. The free market is liberation, not socialism, not communism, but capitalism and the free market is going to liberate Black people in the United States and all over the world. But now this guy here, Thomas D. Lorenzo, if I'm pronouncing it right, I'm not a fan of him. He says a lot of things I do not agree with, but I am in agreement with him that capitalism is the best system and the free market system is the best system on in the world. And it's the best system to liberate Black people. Like what the book says. It says the worst economic ideas in the world, how it got so popular and how to refute it. This book is okay. It's okay in terms of like if you want to debate a socialist or a Marxist, this is a good book to start with, but it's not the best book. But yeah, man, with this election coming up, we have fascism in America. Fascism, communism, socialism, Nazism, it's all the same thing. And Marxism, it's all the same thing, and it's all no good. If you want to be liberated in the United States of America, you need to become a free market. You need to become a free market capitalist. That's the only way you're gonna be liberated.
Okay, cool. Let's go ahead, Delroy.
Yeah, I think we went over this several times, and I keep saying the same damn thing over and over again. It seems like people don't listen. The biggest socialist country in the world is America. Welfare, Social Security, corporate welfare, and you name it. Capitalism, socialism has to work together. It always does.
Right, but I think I would say this, Delroy. I would say America is a capitalist country with socialism safety nets.
Whichever way you put it, you want to pretty it up like that, you could go ahead. You have no socialism here, there'll be war in this place in a minute.
Well, I know there's socialism.
Right?
No, I know there's socialism.
Hold up.
Right.
No,
let me finish talk, man. Let me finish talk. You guys saying Marxism and socialism is evil? Is Cuba an evil country? Is Russia an evil country?
Hold on, can I respond?
You guys know what evil is?
We never said it was evil. We never. Well, I think there's evil people everywhere.
That's what this guy, he just said that. He just said capitalism, Marxism, socialism, communism, they all evil.
I think
capitalism is slavery.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, Delroy, can I respond, Delroy?
I'm not a slave.
You could say what you want to say, bruh. But I've been on this earth a long time, right? A long time. They never allowed a place like Cuba to succeed in what they were trying to do, right? And it was never communism; it was socialism. Cuba never meant or never said you can own a business, right? You can be an individual. People have to understand what socialism really is.
The issue with Cuba was, I think the issue with Cuba was that they were allied with Russia, right?
Yeah, can I say something real quick, Delroy? Yeah, so I think we need to understand these terms. Like when we talk about socialism, we're talking about like the Soviet Union, like the Cold War. Because this term came in the 60s. So like in the Cold War, people that want to be like the Soviet Union, like the Soviet Social Republics, those were like the socialists, the Marxists, but those were like leftists. I think there is a difference between socialism and leftism. But like the Soviet, that was like leftism, people who want to go towards the Soviet Union. Socialism is just like the post office and the U.S. military. Like it's like the government owns an industry pretty much. So the U.S. Post, that's socialism. The U.S. Post Office is socialism, and UPS is capitalism. You know, FedEx is capitalism. You understand what I mean? Amazon is capitalism. And so yeah, we need to understand these differences. But I don't think the problem of social or capitalist, like it's just leftism. Again, Cuba is a leftist country because they identify with the Soviet Union. China is a leftist country because they identify with the Soviet Union. So there's like a difference between socialism. Yeah, just because the government owns something, that's socialism. So yeah.
And what's wrong with China's system, Russia's system?
I don't think
system?
anything. I don't think. Well, again, China's working. Russia is kind of working. Cuba isn't working.
Russia's kind of working. What do you mean by that?
Well, again, they have been couped. They can defend themselves against America. I don't live in Russia, but it's not as developed as China is.
Russia have an excellent economy.
Okay,
but don't worry. Russia and China are communists in politics, but capitalists in business.
Yeah, like North Korea.
Dennis, that's why I said they both work hand in hand. You have to have it. The U.S. have to have it. Look at Norway. Look at Norway and Switzerland and Sweden and those countries like that.
Yeah, those are like they have a vast welfare. Like they have a huge welfare system, and again, I'm pretty sure there's government. But they're not anti-capitalist.
I see what a misunderstanding is. So Delroy, I'm for capitalism with socialism safety nets. The pro-Marxism communists are completely against capitalism altogether, which I disagree.
Yeah, exactly.
But no countries like that. I know no country like that.
You're right, but you can't tell them that.
I think there's a different. Hold up. I think it's capitalism and anti-capitalism. I think we all agree that capitalism is good. There's some flaws in it, but anti-capitalism is bad. Anti-capitalism is like you're North Korea and you think capitalism is just evil and you need to get rid of capitalism. I think that's what we're saying. That's bad.
Right.
I think everyone genuinely agrees.
But funny enough, people like what's Microsoft owner?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates and his people. They're capitalists, but they don't want the world. They don't want the world to be capitalist. They don't.
What makes you say that? What do you mean?
They want you. You don't hear their motto. They want you to own nothing. They want you to own nothing. That's why they're trying to push this imitation meat and all kind of nonsense on you.
But isn't that communism too? But isn't that like social? Like you don't own anything the government owns?
I'm just saying. I'm just pointing out that here's a so-called multi-billionaire capitalist, right? That don't want you to own nothing.
Okay,
and be happy. That's their motto: own nothing and be happy.
Okay, are you still gonna go buy Microsoft computers and go work for Microsoft? Like if Microsoft offer you a position of $200,000 a year, are you gonna go take it?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying how they're thinking.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. How
Yeah,
they're thinking.
but Delroy, they're not stopping you from opening your own business, and they're not talking about nationalizing everything.
But what country's saying that? I don't know no country.
But that's what socialism, Marxism, communism is, and I don't know why.
Not socialism. Maybe Marxism, but not socialism.
Oh, let me bring go ahead. Oh, brother Lumumba, go ahead and unmute yourself. And
Hey,
real
peace.
quick, let me read this comment. Cuba nationalized all private businesses. What the F is Delaware talking about? Now I looked that up. They're slowly shifting, but very, very slow. Again, very, very slow. Ever since Raul came in and replaced his brother, they're slowly shifting to privatization, but it's very, very slow. Very slow. Very, very, very slow. All right, go ahead, brother Lumumba.
Hey, peace. Greetings, everybody. So I want to just directly address the query, which is Pan-Africans adopting Marxism, communism was a huge mistake. My answer to that would be no, because of the period of time in which Pan-Africanists adopted Marxism, communism. It was out of the period of colonization. So we're looking at capitalism versus socialism. And in particular, we're talking about Marxism. So the socioeconomics of that is capitalists were the colonizers of Africa, period, point blank. There were no states that were colonizing Africa that weren't capitalists. So when we're talking about decolonizing Africa, the Pan-Africanists had to ask themselves a question. What is the socioeconomic system that we will use to decolonize Africa? Is it capitalism? If it's capitalism, and the capitalists that relented to decolonization by giving independence to these countries, they did that and maintained capitalism by maintaining a certain class. So, for example, we saw that in Democratic Republic of the Congo with Patrice Lumumba, in which you had a class that was trained. And it didn't just happen in DRC, it happened in a lot of countries where you had a class of people that were trained. Robert Mugabe is one of those people. Patrice Lumumba is one of those people. Kwame Nkrumah is one of those people that were trained to be the handlers of these newly liberated states for the benefit of capitalists, because you had this capitalist class that wanted to maintain control. Now, some of them turned their back on them. Patrice Lumumba did, Kwame Nkrumah did, and they embraced Marxism, if you will, because there was a class conflict between Africans and Europeans, colonizers who were capitalists. And so what people don't talk about oftentimes when they talk about Marxism, beyond nationalism and all these other aspects of state repression, is what Marx really contributed to the economic discussion was not class conflict in and of itself, because people were talking about that otherwise. In warfare books, you can read about class conflict, but he contributed dialectical materialism, in which it's a philosophical framework that you deal with the contradictions of material reality. So African leaders, Pan-Africanists, were dealing with just that. How do we get out of colonization, get into independence, and deal with the contradictions of our material reality so that we can be in control of the economy, control of our politics, as opposed to being enslaved by those who happen to be capitalists? So they could not embrace capitalism and do that. So they embraced Marxism. Now, I will say that the mistake that some Pan-Africanists have made is they have not evolved.
Exactly, and I agree with there. Go ahead. Now you're cooking. Go ahead. I mean, you were cooking, but you're cooking now. Go ahead.
So they stuck in a particular period. So what ended up happening, for example, with Kwame Nkrumah and Sekou Touré, is they didn't just say, okay, I'm a Marxist and leave it at that, and this is the ideal. They used Marxism to break away from their colonial masters, and then they developed their own, because economics is no different than physics. Nobody subscribes to the philosophy or the ideals or the theories of a particular physicist and doesn't challenge them. Nobody does that. No physicist, no reputable physicist does that. And so no reputable economist just says, okay, well, I'm a Marxist and leave it at that. No, you challenge those ideas and you try to make them applicable to your time and place. And if you can't, you put them in the trash and you move forward with something else. So Africans who are practical continue to develop that. And so that's why we got to see Nkrumahism, Touréism develop out of Marxism. We got to see Ujamaa develop out of Marxism. We got to see the Jamahiriya develop out of Marxism by Africans who were taking control of the state out of colonization and then continuing to develop a decolonial paradigm that happened to have to combat capitalism because the capitalists were and still are the major exporters of Africa, the major colonizers of Africa, and the major neo-colonialists in Africa are capitalists because they're protecting that class. And so the class struggle between African class and the European colonizer class is something that embracing Marxism has contributed to the forward march toward Pan-Africanism as an ideal. There are plenty of mistakes that have been made along the way, no doubt. But I don't think that the initial embrace of Marxism by Pan-Africanists was a mistake because it got us to the point of decolonization, at least to the point of independence, and then to the point of thinking about self-sufficiency. But the mistake would be those who just get stuck in the past and are addicted to old ideas.
Well, hold on, Skylar. But then, so like, let's deal with Nkrumah, and then let's deal with Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, who said that him adopting, I guess, socialism was a big mistake. And then when you look at Kwame Nkrumah, if you want to call it Nkrumahism, it didn't work out. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we have to look at the whole political milieu. There's a lot of reasons why Kwame Nkrumah didn't work out. He left and there was a coup. And so the once he turned his back, okay, let me wheel it back. So let's use Kwame Nkrumah and Mugabe, for example. When they were good stewards of capitalism, everything was good on the front in Ghana and in Zimbabwe. As soon as they turned their backs on the plans of the capitalist handlers, in this case, both Europeans, both British, then things went sour for them. And so it's not simply a situation in which the economic system did not work. There are political situations in which you have the United States, CIA, you have the British and their intelligence agencies and their militaries and so on and so forth undermining African self-determination. So we can't leave that out and say, oh, the system itself didn't work, as if there wasn't somebody making sure it didn't work. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but okay, real quick response to Bro Lumumba.
Go ahead.
Okay, I feel like you're using these terms like capitalism, socialism, kind of misusing these terms for a bit. The Europeans invaded Africa because there was racialism, because they saw this as a race and Africa as another race, not because of capitalism or communism. By that logic is Africa being colonized by communists because all these Chinese factories and mines, like that's owned by the Chinese state. So is that being Africa being colonized by communists? So we need to stop being communists? No, those are just Chinese owned factories and they're colonizing Africa. Just like the British owned factories are colonizing Africa. The British owned factories, they were privately owned, but the Chinese are owned by the government. So is that so we need to stop being communists now? We need to stop embracing communism because these Chinese mines, which is owned by the government, are exploiting Africans? No, it just means that these are foreign ideas and these are just different races of people colonizing Africa pretty much. And again, like with Zimbabwe, like again, ZANU-PF, Mozambique, Southern Africa, these are all Marxist parties. And right now, like Zimbabwe is poor, Mozambique is being run by terrorists, and South Africa is just collapsing. Like the buildings are collapsing, and they're begging the white people to come run the country. But Botswana isn't a Marxist country. Seretse Khama wasn't a Marxist. And, you know, Botswana is doing better than all its neighbors, doing better than Mozambique, doing better than Southern Africa. There's less crime, less poverty. It's better in every economic index. So like, again, you're saying we need Marxism and communism to uplift us. No, these are all, again, at the end of the day, individual supersedes ideology. It matters who the individual is, not what the ideology is. And that's what I'm pretty much saying. Like, again, it wasn't capitalism, it's just white people invading us. So yeah, what do you respond to that, Brother Lumumba?
Yeah, great response. I don't believe that we have to embrace Marxism, communists to uplift us. I'm just speaking of the time, and the time in which most of our African nations were getting independence is in the so-called Cold War. So you had a polarity between capitalism in regard to the United States primarily, and socialism in regard to the USSR. And so when we were getting independence and we were looking for international allies, it was one or the other. It was pressure put on us by them. Let me say that. Pressure put on us by them. Why? For our resources, not for a race, not for race. Europeans did not meet together, stop fighting each other, and colonize us because of racism, because we were different races. They did it for economic reasons. They exploited our labor and they exported our resources, our minerals. They didn't do it because we were a different race. We've been interacting with Europeans way before they colonized us. They didn't come in because of race. The reason why they were coming in before that, before they colonized us, was for trade, economics. So the idea that they came in simply because we were a different race is patently untrue. And also the idea that we have to embrace Marxism, communism to uplift ourselves is also untrue. But I'm saying that we embraced it at that period in time because the colonizers were capitalists. When we were getting our independence, we were choosing between a capitalist ally or a socialist ally. We didn't want to support capitalism because what capitalists had done to us, our relationship with capitalists for centuries. So we gave socialism a try, especially because what it looked like as far as the class conflict, the goal was for the working class, which Africans were the working class undoubtedly. When we were colonized, we were the working class. One of the goals of socialism in that class conflict and resolving that contradiction is for the working class to take control of their politics, which we did. Nobody can say that the working class African did not take control of their politics, of our politics, in that period of time. So in that regard, embracing Marxism was successful for us. There were some failures in administering the state, but as far as taking control of the politics and the economy, it was a success. In Tanzania under Nyerere, there were many failures, but one of the main successes, and you can ask people from Tanzania today and people from that region, there is no tribal conflict in Tanzania since Nyerere, in spite of the fact that there's much tribalism and conflict, and which is class conflict, tribal classes in Africa. Tanzania is one of the few nations that does not have that issue because it was resolved under Ujamaa, even though other economic mistakes were made and failures happened. The tribal class conflict was completely resolved in Tanzania to this day. So that's a major success. So we can't just like make this blanket term to say, oh, everything was a failure or everything was a success, everything was good or everything was a mistake. There were mistakes and successes, failures and good things. And so
I agree with you.
Let me ask you this: 2024 is the communist Marxism argument still applicable? I mean, is it still applicable from a Pan-African perspective? I'm capitalism with socialism safety nets. But in 2024, you know, a lot of us are still pushing Marxism, and it's just you see Black Lives Matter, they were trained Marxists, and I saw that ended up, and it's not looking good. But go ahead.
I think certain aspects of it are still useful because, for example, where we can use, and I think let me go back. I think we've developed enough. We've had enough of our own thinkers and our own political leaders who have developed and articulated enough in the course of the past 100 years that we can start to dig into our own resources, that we don't have to go all the way back to Marx and say this is our template, but we can just like most physicists don't go back to Einstein and start from there. There's been plenty of physicists that have developed since Einstein's theories that the new physicist graduating in 2024 doesn't start their theory from Einstein. They might reference it in their thought, but they don't start there. And I think it is a mistake for modern Pan-Africanists in 2024 to start with Marx. We have enough history that we've documented and theory that we've developed and history that we've uncovered and unearthed prior to Marx that feeds into our economic theory that we no longer have to call ourselves Marxists. I'm a socialist, but I'm not a Marxist. I'm a socialist in that I look at our African systems, indigenous systems, many of which that are enduring are socialist, many of which, and I will defer. I think the best articulation of that happens to be Muammar Gaddafi's Green Book, the Jamahariya, because in experiencing indigenous African culture, I've realized that although Gaddafi did not do a good job of crediting African people, because he was born and raised in Africa and experienced African indigenous culture, he was able to observe and then articulate it in the Green Book as socialism. And he did it very well. He just didn't credit us very well. But that's my piece.
Hey, I have a question to ask you, Brother Lumumba. Brother Lumumba?
Go ahead.
Yeah, do you say you're a social dumb? Do you think there should be like a Negro clause? Like, cause like I understand like why they became social, because at the time period, white people have all the money, so they can buy up all the land. Just like here, like a white people have all the money, so they can easily buy up all the land. So you need the state to prevent that. That way, you know, if a lease is up, the state still has the land and it's not owned by white people. But I feel like that's kind of antiquated today because like corruption and a lot of stuff. So like we want Africans to own their land, but at the same time, the state can be corrupted, and they kind of like either like they give it to corporations and they don't pay any taxes, or no Africans don't own their land. You know, we don't have the money to compete with corporations. Like in Jamaica, like they're selling the land off to corporations and all that stuff. And in Kenya or in Africa, like the government leases land to these corporations, but they don't pay any taxes or anything like that. They misuse the land. They have a lot of pollution. So what would you say to like a Negro clause, like in Liberia, where the land is owned by black people? If you're black, you can have like a title deed. You own the land. You don't pay any taxes. You don't pay any property taxes on the land. You just buy the land and that's it. If you're black, you don't pay any taxes. You own the land, pretty much. And that's what I personally believe. I don't believe in the state. I understand the necessity of it, why you may need it, but again, it's like there's a balance to it. I feel like it's overused by the state, and black people don't own any land. Like when here, when the government can just take your land, you know, you don't really own it, pretty much. So what do you think of that, Bro Lumumba? Like a Negro clause instead of like the government owning land outright.
So that's a great point in regard to, and I think the question would be, what is the government? What is the state? Because that's still something that we haven't completely resolved as African people. The states that we have are carved out from the colonies. They're not states that African people created. So, and they weren't carved out for our benefit. They were carved out for the benefit of the colonizers. So we still haven't resolved that. We're working on it with economic regions like ECOWAS, so on and so forth, to move forward. And then what is the state or the government? The government itself, many of those governments too were developed by colonizers, not for our benefit, but for theirs. So I think we still have a lot to resolve to determine how we want our governments to look for our benefit. And Negro clauses could be a part of that. And in some cases, they may not be applicable because the population might be too diverse for that, and it might create more conflict than it resolves. But I think in a place like Liberia,
can you elaborate? Yeah, go ahead.
Egypt, for example. Egypt is in Africa, and I would never advocate that Egypt is removed from Africa. But if we if we adopt a Negro clause for Africa, for example, as we move toward a united Africa, then that's going to remove a lot of places that are currently in Africa, and I don't think that's to our benefit. So
just for like Nigeria, or like, you know, the full on like ECOWAS or like West, just like for Nigeria, like what would be like your view of property ownership? Because I'm just curious what your views are as a socialist. Like if you own the government, you ran to go, like what would your view on property ownership be? Just you.
I think it's got to be regional, place by place. So, for example, Liberia and Sierra Leone both had Negro clauses. Now, Sierra Leone overturned theirs as far as their citizenship recently, so that the Lebanese that were living there, born and raised there, could become citizens. But historically, both of those places, citizenship and the benefits of citizenship were only reserved for, like you said, Negroes, people of African descent, Black Africans, so that other people couldn't come in. Colonizers basically could not come in and take over the state by becoming citizens. They couldn't become president. They couldn't run for other offices. They couldn't control the levers of power in these places. They could come in and move and do business, but they couldn't take over. So what has happened in Northern Africa, where foreigners, where non-Africans have come in and taken over time, in places like Sierra Leone and Liberia, was prevented because of Negro clauses. So I don't want to see all of Africa fall prey to what has happened in Northern Africa, or what some Europeans have tried and are still trying to do in South Africa. So if a Negro clause protects our places from that, I'm all for it. But I think we just have to be scientific about it and see, where does it make sense? What can we still preserve for ourselves and for our children? And what we have lost already, how can we, in some cases, get it back without a loss of life and livelihood?
Okay, thank you.
Let me pass it to Darth Reed. We'll go ahead, though. Well, Darth was on. Well, let me pass it to Darth first, Delaware. Then I'll pass it to you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Darth.
Yeah, I mean, can you hear me? Okay, that's good. Can we hear? Was it communism they chose or something like that? Or was it because of the fight for independence? Some of them chose to side over that side. But either way, all I can say is socialism within it provides the means where you can renationalize resources or have protectionism measures to protect your own country, as well against predatory capitalists, as well like that. So before colonialism, a lot of the resources and mines in Africa were owned by capitalist class that's coming from Europe and all these other countries. They owned the companies as well. So they owned the companies and they had the capital as well. They had the means to release the capital to invest. So what it is after colonialism, yes, you gain independence, but how do you rescue back the state's resources away from these capitalist business people from the West as well? How do you gain it back? Similar in South Africa. That's why people are always talking, okay, fine, if we cannot take it from, we just have to renationalize and say this is a national, this belongs to the whole nation. It's a national thing or something. So that is one way as well. So they opted for socialism as a means to kind of gain back the economic levers of the country away from individual capitalists who were from Europe as well. So that's why they opt for that. Because capitalism, if without being controlled, that means you're allowing for wherever capital money can flow in. So whoever can invest their money and flow, they may be able to still have some leverage and a huge level of control on your country as well. So this has been the problem, and that's why these leaders opted to go for a socialism way as a means to rescue back the country's national resources and national means of production as well, and all that kind of stuff. So I think that to vindicate them, I think that's why they went for that, because had it been, I mean, it's because that we are now open as well, and we're following a capitalist model, because eventually the capitalist West ended up winning. Because we're following that model, we are in this deep shit. Our mines and resources are owned by, in fact, because they failed and we are in a capitalist system, we are the ones losing. Because capitalism benefits those who have advantage already, those who have capital already, only they can take advantage of that. And if you don't have that, you're just behind. So it's very funny when you see somebody who is below and doesn't have advantage advocating for an ideology that will set him to be disadvantaged. You understand what I mean? I don't know if I put it correctly there or something, but I'll refine my thing as I go on. Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Delroy.
Yeah, this brother just said a mouthful, and he's correct. And brother Lumba, he basically saying exactly what I'm saying, but he put it more nice. But in 2008, 2009, 2010, the United States government used socialism, communism, whatever they wanted to use to try to save this country from collapsing. They went in there with an AK-47 and told this corporation, okay, we're going to allow you to close, to dissolve. This corporation, okay, like for instance, banks. Okay, Bank A, you got to buy Bank A, B, C, and D, right? Bank F, you got to buy X, Y, Z, and whatever. And the government told them what to do. And okay, how much money you need? Here's the money. Use it, right? They gave them the money. They printed like $2 trillion. If that ain't communism, socialism, I don't know what is. They printed the money and gave it to them, right? If they truly believe in capitalism, they'll allow these companies to fail, just like they allow tens of thousands of home to go under and businesses to go under. They pick and choose who they wanted to save, right? And who they wanted to let go. And they gave you as much money as you needed. Right?
Right. Like I said, it's capitalism with socialism safety nets.
Right. You want to put it that way, but they like to put it just like the way you put it, nice and sexy, right? But it is socialism, and the corporate socialism is the worst. Okay, it is the worst because they're gonna save whoever they want to save, and they will close down a company, right? Anytime they want to, or they will let one grow.
So Delroy, you're saying that printing money and giving it to billionaires is communism?
What do you call that? Communism, socialism. What do you call that?
I just call it just a safety net.
I don't think it's a safety net because they could allow. So why didn't you save company A but you let company B live?
I think because they felt they thought there was more value in company B.
No, so we would like to think. So we like to think a bank like WAMU, a bank like Washington Mutual, which was a great family oriented small business bank, right? They let that bank go. That bank should have been saved, right? Because they cared about the people, they cared about the local people, they cared about the small businesses, right? But they let it fail. They let, I think Chase bought them.
Right. They were bought out. Yeah, they were bought out.
Right. But the government directed what to do. They could have saved them. The government directed what to do. Okay, they didn't say some of these banks didn't want to buy these other banks. The government, no, you're going to buy this bank. Period. End of story.
Well, so I'm reading right here. I'm reading right here. So when a bank fails, the FDIC takes it over.
Right.
And the FDIC sold it to JP Morgan and Chase.
Right. But that was, I'm saying that was a worthy bank to save. Yeah, there was nothing wrong with them before.
Yeah, but it's saying that they filed bankruptcy, when you take
you know what happened in those times.
Yeah, I know they filed bankruptcy. They got
Yeah. They had no choice. But other companies could have filed bankruptcy also. You see what I'm saying? But they saved them. If they didn't save them, they would have to file bankruptcy.
Go ahead, Kofi.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, go ahead, Kofi.
Yeah, respect. Good night. Boy, I can't believe say in 2024, you still have people who think that socialism is a good system.
Hey, Kofi, Kofi, you sound real muffled. Like, are you on speaker or what's going on?
You can't hear me now?
That's better. Go ahead.
This is that imitation Jamaican guy again.
Go ahead. Let him talk.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kofi.
Yeah, I can't believe in 2024 you still have people who think that socialism is a good system. You know what I mean? You mean to tell me that from 1917 to 1989, nobody didn't learn any lessons? Nobody didn't realize that socialism destroys capital and reduces the productivity of labor, impoverishes people, leads to economic stagnation and sometimes starvation. Nobody don't learn from that. Nobody don't learn from the Western economies today growing more and more socialist. Hence, all the problems with inequality, all the problems with lower productivity, all the problems with social security going bankrupt, all the problems with inflation. I mean, do we like inflation? Do we like when government prints money? When you print money and the supply of goods and services remain the same, that leads to inflation. That's good for rich people because their assets go up. But for poor people and struggling middle class who have to buy in Walmart or Target or whatever, that's hard on them. You know what I mean? So I don't understand how we have this is the age of information. We have books at our fingertips. Just pick up a Thomas Sowell book and read now. I mean, you have people like Delroy coming from Jamaica, running
What
from
is your
Jamaica.
point? What is your point?
And
Delroy,
from Jamaica and
go ahead.
should have learned from Jamaica's experience in the 1970s with socialism that destroyed the country. The more we live today in a mixed economy, and the more the economy goes in the direction of socialism, is the less productive it gets, less economic growth, less median income goes up, economic stagnation, and more and more problems. Just like in America today, when they went and printed all this money and resulted in all this inflation, because too much money chasing too few goods leads to inflation and hurts the poor, and it benefits the rich in terms of asset inflation, etc. So socialism is bad.
Dinus, I really don't know why this dude even come on this channel. I swear. First of all,
I have an open platform.
Yeah, I know. I say why he can't come on there.
And let me interject. Hey, Brandon, I got to correct you, Brandon. Behind the scenes, Delroy has donated money, Brandon. So let me just put that out there, Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon. You ain't donating nowhere near. No one on this channel ever donated nowhere near. We don't have to go over it. We don't have to go over it, Dinus. But I'm just letting them know.
I gotta just correct you. That's not true. But
maybe one or two person. Maybe one or two person. But anyway,
go ahead.
Anyway, yeah. First of all, I never said that. What I said, Dinus, I said socialism and capitalism work together. Isn't that what I always said?
Yes, capitalism with socialism.
Right. That's why I said, right. America was never a pure capitalist country ever, and it's still none today. All right. So I don't know what this guy. I don't know what this dude talking about. It benefit the rich. It always benefit the rich. It always that ain't nothing new. What I have to do with socialism? What I have to do with socialism?
That's a question to me.
Yeah, what does it have to do with socialism? Okay. It always benefit America. Always benefit the rich. I don't understand what you're saying.
Let me answer it. There has never been a pure market economy, and there's never even been a pure socialist economy. Even in the Soviet Union, they had some aspects of the market. But I'm saying the closer a country gets to socialism is the more economic disaster that results, and that is empirically verified over and over again. So therefore, anybody in 2024 who advocates socialism or America goes continue to have safety nets for rich people is economically illiterate.
It's always been like that. What are you talking about? It has always been. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. It has always been like that.
You don't know American economic history. Today,
it has always been like that.
Listen to me now.
Okay, it always benefited the rich.
Listen. Under capitalism, the rich get richer when you create value for society. So therefore, society get rich and the capitalists get rich. The capitalists get rich more.
When America's society ever got rich? The common person.
It's rich now. Listen. The capitalist gets richer than everybody else because the capitalist that organize the means of production that risks his or her capital.
Okay, Kofi.
Man, listen. Everything you're saying is nonsense, bro. Not pure nonsense.
Kofi.
You better go live on the moon, bro. Go live on the moon someplace. Not America.
I soon finish. Okay? So under capitalism, the rich get richer and the poor get richer too. But under socialism, everybody get poor.
Under capitalism, the poor get richer? Man, are you listen?
They don't get richer. They don't get richer.
Man, I would say this: under capitalism, somebody has the opportunity. They put the effort into it from coming from the bottom to the top. I don't hear about that. I never heard that from a Marxist.
Sometimes that's not the case because you can.
Come on, Darv, that's the case. I know several
because
people.
Sometimes you can get to late stage capitalism where those capitalists start to monopolize the market, monopolize the game, and in a return stifle production, stifle innovation. In a way, you can get there. So unless you regulate that and you manage that, so I don't have a problem with capitalism because sometimes it is the private individual that comes up with a bright idea. He comes up with a bright idea, and the idea just finds its way and it becomes popular. But it gets to a certain extent when you need to start regulating it. Otherwise, like they say, where is the most innovation that has been done in society so far? It's been done in IT, in the telecommunication space, in the computing space. But when it comes to the railroads, the aeroplane, that technology hasn't changed for a long time. That takes a lot because the big corporations have monopolized and slowed down growth and innovation on that side as well. So what I'm trying to say is capitalism can get to that stage if it's not regulated as well. Just like what is happening in the UK, they allowed for a lot of American companies to come and invest and foreign companies to come and buy up almost everything in the UK. And now the UK government people are trying to vote in a socialist government in the UK so that we can take back some of this stuff we sold back in the Reagan days as well. So socialism is there to regulate when capitalism is going. So you need both sometimes. You need both. You need private individuals to have freedom to innovate as well and come up with new ideas. You need them to bring up with solutions because the government will definitely be slow sometimes in coming up. Will be slow in coming up with these ideas. But you cannot just let them run rampantly free. Nobody ever does that. Every country will always put checks on capitalism when it starts to hurt the country and the national interest. Most countries will do that,
Yeah, like I said, capitalism with socialism safety nets.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna put the link in the chat room. We'll take one more caller and then we'll close out. Link is in the chat room. You want to call in? Philip, call in, Philip. Philip, we need your wisdom, Philip. Call in. In fact, Philip, you need to call in, Philip.
And Dennis, you saw what just happened in South Africa?
Yeah. That's why I continue to say that Nigeria is the blackest when it comes to black economics, is the blackest country on the planet.
Did capitalism help these black people off of so-called apartheid was over for 30 years? And you see what they handed. I'm
gonna say they're doing much better now than under apartheid.
But
No,
that is
no, no, no. We know that. We know that. No, what I'm saying is the advancement that they were supposed to make. All right. Now they handed it back. They're handing it back to white people right now.
But see, I'm not gonna blame capitalism on that. I'm gonna blame just
You see?
terrible leadership.
Exactly. Bad leadership.
Bad leadership.
Whether it's bad leadership or not, the apartheid government is back in control.
I'm just to vindicate, to try and vindicate the Pan-Africanist leaders, because that's what the topic is about. If let's say let's say Kofi, you have the resources and this is your house as well, but you're not doing anything with it. Oh, I have the capital as well to invest in your house. Like, if I start buying into whatever is in your house, who's going to be making more money? It's going to be me, and that means I have control. That means I have control ultimately. Now, you at your lowly position, not an insult, by the way, at your disadvantaged position, how would you make sure you rein back power? You rein back power and have control of your means of production. You don't have the money. I have the money. So who controls things in there? That's why Pan-Africanist leaders went for. It's not because they don't believe in capital. It's not because they don't understand it. They say, where we are right now, it's best to go this way because it gives us a means to kind of rescue our means of production, our resources back, and our goods and services back, so that we can control our destiny. That's what they aimed for. That obviously in the geopolitical scene back then, capitalism won out because the people who had capital had more power. Obviously, they had more power, and the USSR obviously failed. So ever since then, we have been in a capitalist system. Ever since those days in the 90s, in the 80s, we've been in a system, and look at where it's gotten us. We've always been the ones losing. You understand? I'm not saying that one is bad than the other, but you must pick the one that advantages you at that time. So I don't know if you're the one who is a disadvantage, you're advocating for somebody's advantage over you.
Well, in a market economy, if you have the capital to put my resource to better use, and I sell you, you can only get rich or maintain your riches if you create that value for other people. Because capitalism is a profit and loss system. So if you with all your capital purchase my resource and you're not using it in a productive manner to benefit and give value to society, to lift the productivity of the society, then you will lose. Right?
But
and that would be a bad investment for you. So asymmetrical.
If I'm the one dictating value, if I'm the one investing and dictating value,
the capitalists don't dictate value.
I'm going to dictate value to my advantage, not to your advantage.
No, the capitalists don't dictate value. It's the consumer dictates value. Look at Bud Light. Look at Bud Light, and look at all the woke products, movies, etc., that are not selling as much. Why? Because it is not catering to consumers. In a capitalist society, it's the consumer that has the ultimate power.
If I'm the one investing and controlling the production in your country as well, right? If I'm the one, I am going to control it to benefit me as well, and I'm going to make sure it benefits me the most, and even to your detriment as well. What can you do?
No, you can't do that, because if you don't create value with that resource, you're going to lose. Unless the government bails you out, and that's not capitalism.
All right, Kofi, let me ask you a question. In real estate today, for the past 10 years, right? Corporations have been buying most of the homes. Say, for instance, a brand new subdivision is built, right? You as a government, say you are the government, right? And a brand new subdivision is built. Would you allow, because they have the money, a corporation to buy all 3,000 houses in the subdivision?
Well, first of all, if the corporation buys 3,000, you said 3,000 houses?
3,000 houses built in the subdivision.
Right.
The corporation, because they have the money,
right.
3,000 houses in the subdivision, and of course they're going to get it at a certain price because they're buying all of it. As you as the government, would you allow that, knowing that other people that live in the community want to buy these houses?
Well, you're assuming that houses have a fixed supply. The reason why corporations can purchase so many houses is because of the housing regulations that restrict supply of housing, right? So unless you fix that state and local problem of zoning that can increase the supply of housing, no amount of Section 8, no amount of rent control, no amount of confiscation of the capitalist wealth is going to make housing available.
My question. I said
I just answered it.
You went around the question.
A government don't have to prohibit BlackRock from buying up houses.
You went around my question, man. You went around my question.
Okay. I just answered it. You don't need to buy up or prevent BlackRock. All you need to do is liberalize the housing market. Simple.
Okay, the corporation's been buying up most of them. So if the house is
because of the regulations, regulations benefit the big guys.
Oh, you definitely you should be a politician because you speak like a politician. Okay, you speak like a politician.
Is that an argument? I mean, come on, Delroy.
Hey, real quick, DMV Pat, if you want to call back in, I'll let you on. If not, we're gonna close out here shortly. But DMV Pat, click on the link and call back in.
Donis, what do you think about that? That these corporations like BlackRock and others.
I'm all about free market, so
no, but that's not what I mean. If these are the housing that's available, that's available, you as a government, what is your responsibility as a government to do?
But why is only the fixed amount available? You don't answer that question.
No, well, I think if the government cared, they will build specific government housing.
What?
Specific government houses? We're talking about normal people. We're not talking about people on welfare or anything like that. We're talking about normal working people.
Right. So I would build specific government. So I know for a fact the government has specific programs for normal working people where they could qualify for certain housing.
Well, maybe I should ask you this way, Dennis. Suppose only a certain amount of land is available to build these homes, and the home is built. Would you allow a corporation to come in because there's no more available to go in and buy out these homes because they have the money? Because
but that's just not reality. There's
exactly.
It's not reality, Delroy. It's just not reality.
But it's
not reality. How's that reality when it's happening right now?
Because there's no limited amount of land.
There's no limited amount. There's no limited
amount. It's only a certain amount of houses is being built
because of the regulations.
Dennis, we are under a housing shortage right now.
Exactly. It's not because of regulation, bro. It's not.
Oh, yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's you have to put material factors in there, and there's a lot of things that go with it, and not no regulation. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm in Atlanta. I see construction going up every single day. Like I don't.
But it's still not enough, Dinus.
It's a housing shortage. We're like 5 million something houses short, something like that. And you have BlackRock is basically buying everything.
Not only
and turning it into rent.
BlackRock is buying everything globally. In fact, like I said, during this G7 summit, they just went and encouraged all the capitalist countries to go around the world and buy up public means infrastructure all around the world. And just to follow the same thing happened in the UK, the same thing is happening all around, and just charge people rent because it's a means to compete with the Chinese as well. So they have capital and they're ready to release it to invest.
Where does BlackRock get capital from?
Well, obviously it's for investors as well. They are an asset manager.
From pension people. So it's us, the pensioners and shareholders.
They're shareholders. Yeah,
It's billionaires
And pensioners
investing in.
No. They manage pension funds. They don't just
Yeah,
get
they
the money
do,
out
and
of
billionaires invest in
right.
them too.
And where those billionaires get the money from? Do they create value in society, or did they steal it? Who did they steal it from?
A lot of them steal it.
All right, like you, name one.
Okay, a lot of them steal it. A lot of corporations steal it.
Like what? Like which one? Name one.
See, you don't understand socialism
All of that.
and capitalism argument.
Like which one?
Kofi, you don't understand it. You said that all socialist governments collapsed on their own. That's a lie.
Okay.
Eventually they do.
did not collapse on their own.
Eventually
I'm
they
getting
do.
Kofi's point of view. I'm getting Kofi. So your point of view is as long as they create value, that's all that matters as well. Okay, let me give you an example. Right now in Africa, all those dusty roads and nothing is being built. So BlackRock will release money to build up Africa, and they will do it in competition with the Chinese. They will do it. But eventually, no African, we will be paying rent in our own countries. No African will control any asset. There will be value. Yes, they can use the roads, they can use the trains and all that stuff. They've created value, but Africans won't have control of that because the capitalist asset owning class, they will be controlling Africa. That's a means of control. So would you say that's a good thing? Would you say they have created value, but where they've created it in Africa, Africans don't control nothing? Is that a good thing to say?
The reason why you have that scenario in Africa and in third world countries like Jamaica is because the government put barriers in front of local entrepreneurs, local capitalists.
No, you're wrong there.
Hold on. Allow me to finish, please. Allow me to finish. Thank you. The governments put up barriers and hoops for local capitalists, local entrepreneurs, but they roll out the red carpet for foreigners, therefore giving some capitalists privilege over others. That's not capitalism.
No. At the global scene, our globe is the fact is black people it's not because we lack capital really. We lack capital to do
because of government regulations.
Hold on. We lack capital.
Do you understand how those government regulations come to be?
Yeah, lobbying.
Kofi. No, that's not what happened. What happened when you said all the governments? Hold on. Let me talk. When you said that all the socialist governments failed from the 60s, 70s to the 80s, when you said that, you know why they failed?
Okay.
Do you know why they failed?
Yeah, because socialism lowers the productivity of labor and
that's not what happened.
Crashes an economy.
That's not what happened. CIA. Listen. Let me explain it because he doesn't understand. The CIA.
The boogeyman.
No. Listen to me. You can read up on it. The CIA.
I have read up on
it. American economist Milton Friedman. He wanted to pursue this extreme form of capitalism, but he didn't want to deploy it in America first. He wanted to test it out in other countries. So all the countries in South America that were leftist and socialist, he went there, and they got those leaders. They got the leaders. They said no. They went to a bunch of Argentina, a whole bunch of other countries.
Chile's economy improved on the advice of Milton Friedman. That's a fact.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it
did.
These
governments. No, it didn't. All these governments.
I'm not going to argue with it. That's an empirical. Look at the GDP. Look at the GDP per capita. Look at Chile compared to Argentina. That
but you know, they went and got the leftists out of government. They killed them, and they put far right dictators in. And they ran their form of capitalism. Huh?
You read the book, The Economic Hitman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you read the Shock Doctrine? Explains all this.
Yeah. Naomi Klein. Naomi Klein is an idiot.
How's she an idiot?
Read Milton Friedman himself. Capitalism and Freedom.
Kofi.
Milton Friedman.
Kofi, hold on, my guy. I'm gonna say this. Kofi, it's not due to regulation That's why these people couldn't produce value. It's due to their currencies being devalued in the global stage. So your
No,
currency
it's the government's devalue currency.
No, they don't.
This is
Yes, they
controlled
do.
by
They
the,
print too much money.
What you do?
When you print
What
too
you
much
think
money,
happened to
the value.
Zimbabwe? Zimbabwe took back their land.
The IMF
Zimbabwe
have
took
their
back their land, and the U.S. the IMF World Bank destroyed their currency. That's why they had $1 trillion notes.
No, the government destroyed the currency.
That's not happening. No, it didn't.
Where
See,
you
you misinformed. See, you're misinformed. You're
When you print too-
misinformed. That's what's going on.
When the government prints too much money to fund its spending, what happens?
That's not what happened.
When the government prints too much money to fund its spending, what happens?
You are
The
brainless.
economy was the currency was crashed already.
Let me
That's why
ask
they had
again.
to
Too
they had
much
to
money
print.
chasing. Too much money chasing.
That's not what
consumer
happened.
goods.
That's not what happened. And when Trump did, they tried to get his land back.
Hey guys, we're gonna go ahead and close out. But hey, I enjoyed the conversation.
That have no sense.
We'll do a part 2. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family dynasty. Search for Haru. Peace.
Peace.